Why exactly are Christians poor? And how do you change it as a Christian living in the 21st century? I will show you exactly how to re-engineer that current position as a Christian living in the 21st century. There are 2.8 billion Christians in the world today. And in the list of most populated Christian countries of the world, you have Nigeria ranked as number 6 most populated Christian countries of the world, with a Christian population of 79.03 million Christians living in Nigeria. That makes up 49.3% of the total population in Nigeria. That is roughly about half of the country professing Christians. Yet, the same nation of Nigeria is ranked number 9 on the list of poorest countries in the world. Right at the top, you have Burundi, followed by Malawi, then the Central African Republic, Somalia, Mozambique. Number 9, Nigeria, with a GDP per capita of $807 United States dollars. That raises a question. Why is one of the most populated Christian countries of the world one of the most poorest countries of the world? It is not news anymore that the Christian population are one of the most poorest, especially here in Nigeria and around the region of Africa. And not trying to play any conspiracy theorists, but I believe that the state of the Christians in Africa is an intentionally engineered state and position. That the reality we see in this current world, at this current age, in this current time, is not a coincidence. It did not just happen by chance. It was intentionally engineered. It was engineered right from the colonial eras, where Christianity was introduced. Yes, and this is not to say that there is anything wrong with the Christian religion. There is nothing wrong. The Christian religion introduced in its fullness came to set free, to bring salvation. But it was introduced by a set of people that had other intentions in mind. They had the plan to colonize, to rule, to subjugate the African people. And one of the tools that they used was the religion setup of Christianity. The colonial masters intentionally institutionalized religion as a tool to propagate oppression. And in English, what I actually mean is the fact that the religion sector, the setup of the African church, was intentionally done. It was intentionally meant to bring about a mindset of subjugation and submission, such that the people of the church were taught submission to authority. They were taught submission to instituted authority, but they were never taught the power of dominion and governance. Now, couple that with the African culture that prioritizes and dignifies respect. What do you get? You get a nation, a race of people who cannot hold their leaders accountable. You get a nation of people who cannot seek out to understand and work with the principles that guides the result that they desire in a particular area of life. What we now currently have is a system of submission and ignorance that has been taken for spirituality. True spirituality, true kingdom-mindedness produces global uprising. For the scripture says, righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to everything. So when you notice a nation, a place, a society that tends to exalt righteousness, yet the nation itself lives in wretchedness, there's a disconnect. The true, authentic spirit of righteousness is not at play. Something else is at play. The reason why I went through all of this route is to establish the problem that we have. Because until a problem is identified, solution cannot be proposed. Until a disease has been diagnosed, medications cannot be prescribed. Hosea chapter 4 verse 6 says that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. That is the current state of the church in Nigeria and of an average Christian in Nigeria. They face a life of defeat, of mediocrity, of lack, of wretchedness, simply because of a culture, a mindset that was intentionally engineered to produce exactly that same kind of lifestyle. So if you're a Christian and you're currently struggling with finances, your case is not different. In fact, your case is not a coincidence. Your case is a product of an intentional engineering. and we have to break out of it. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, not for lack of fasting, not for lack of prayer, but for lack of knowledge. The church in Nigeria is one of the most firebrand versions of Christianity, with tongue speaking, signs and wonders, glittering the congregation in Africa. But yet we still manage to have some of the weakest sets of believers, the most wretched, the poorest sets, least powerful, least influential sets of believers in the world. You ask me, I tell you, it's an intentional engineering. It was designed to be so. And it's not just crying over spilled milk. Let's move to the way forward. Now, the first thing that you need to understand is the product or the result of this intentional engineering of the African church. Aside the subjugation, the mindset of submission that was inculcated into the African church, the next result of this engineering is ignorance. The African church was only taught submission to authority. It was never taught the principle of dominion and kingdom propagation. And this is why you notice that prevalent within the church is the mindset that exalts the mysterious. What the human mind does not understand, it mystifies. Imagine traveling back in time. Imagine that time travel is a thing, and you travel back in time to AD 01, when the Roman Empire was still in existence, with a fighter jet. Now, just arriving on the horizon above ancient Rome, gliding down, doing some flips, then targeting the royal castle and begin to bomb. They automatically assume that either Zeus or Ares has come down to cleanse the world of humans. Why? They just assume this has to be God. Why? Because they don't understand the mechanics of the fighter jet. They don't understand how science can advance to that level. It is mysterious at that point. So they just naturally attribute it to God. You will see that happen a lot in the church today. And it is quite unfortunate that a lot of times this same mindset, this same principle has been mystified and spiritualized in a only religious context. What the human mind does not understand, it mystifies. So you see somebody work hard, an hardworking Christian, an hardworking man struggle so hard to try to build some level of financial stability, some level of financial freedom in life. But regardless of his hard work, regardless of his diligence, regardless of how hard he tries, he's unable to amount to much. Then you see somebody elsewhere who doesn't do as much, who doesn't do seemingly as much, who doesn't work seemingly as hard as he works, who just several things just aligns and his life turns around, and he just believes that, see, in this life, it's not about how hard you work, it is God. Meanwhile, he's unaware that this person has access to certain informations. He is utilizing certain principles of leverage, but he is unaware of principles, unaware of information. All he sees is that this person's result is mysterious. I don't understand it, so it has to be God. This is why you hear a lot of, it's only God that can give a man this kind of result. Or God, principles. God is a God of principles. He created an orderly result. God does not make any man rich. From the beginning of the world, God has never made anyone rich. The poor and the rich mix together. God is the maker of them all, not the maker of them so. It is not God that made one rich and another poor. No. God has kept the resources for enriching your boss on earth. It is now your ability to understand how to utilize those resources and how to work with the principle of wealth creation to bring about your wealth. So no, it is not God. God has rested on the seventh day. After the seventh day, God did not stand up to do any work, including to make anybody rich. God does not go about distributing resources to whoever he pleases. You select your financial destiny with your actions. God has rested. And before God rested, he simply created a order, a law of order in the universe. And as long as the earth continues, seed time and harvest. What that simply means is that to get this kind of results, there has to be this kind of input. Harvest, but before harvest, seed time. So all of the results you see in this world today are not miraculous occurrence. They are usually an harvest for a seed. That world is governed by principles, not by miracles. Things rarely happen by miracles. I am not negating the law of miracle, because the law of miracle is still part of the law of the supernatural that also applies on earth. But most of the results of men that you see are results of principles. But the church in Africa has been so engineered towards the mysterious and the miraculous that they tend to exalt miracle above principles. Like this video and drop a comment if you gain value. This helps the algorithm know that this content needs to reach as many persons as possible. So help me reach more persons who need to see this video. Like, drop a comment. Anything that stands out to you, drop a comment. Thank you so much. I'm back to the video. I remember making a video on Instagram last year, and that video was explaining the tool of leverage and certain principles around wealth creation. And I can never forget, there was this comment that made me smile and shake my head. Somebody came up to my comment section on Instagram and said, bro, forget all of these levels. If God blow your whistle, you know, go wear jersey, you go play full time. In other words, if you don't understand PA, what it means is that without preparation, because jersey is the clothes that footballers wear, without preparation, without being the man, without being ideal, you can succeed and excel and do the things that love. He doesn't he doesn't call the qualified the called. I believe it's strong in that. But he calls the unqualified and justifies the unqualified. And those he called, he justified. Those he justified, then he glorified. There has to be justification. The church in Nigeria jumps from call to glorification. He believes that the process of justification is simply God announcing you, God miraculously providing a bag of money into your house, God just miraculously doing something that just turns your life around. And I am so happy to break it to you that that is a lie from the pit of hell. Lives don't just turn around. Now, let me introduce the shift, the actual design of God. 1 Corinthians chapter 1:24 says, Christ, the wisdom of God and the power of God. The church in Nigeria was taught to exalt the power dimension of God over the wisdom dimension of God. And this is why things like the law of prayer, the law of fasting was so emphasized. The law of value, the law of diligence, the law of solution, the law of leverage were completely ignored. The law of wisdom was completely ignored. And this is something that you need to understand. You see, when you engage on supernatural laws like the law of fasting and prayer, what happens is you create power. Power is created in the realm of the spirit. And power is good. James 5 says, the fervent, effectual prayer of the righteous man availeth much. If you read it in the Amplified Version, he says it makes tremendous power available. But power is a concept that exists in the realm of the spirit. When it comes to thriving in the realm of men, what is needed is wisdom. So, power has to be transmitted or translated to wisdom, into ideas, into concepts, into vision, into projects, into goals, into action, into applying principles. This is the part that was left missing in the Christian church in Africa. So people pray and tremendous power available in their spirit, but their mind has not been developed. That is why the Apostle Paul says, let this mind be in you that was also in Christ Jesus. Permit this mind to be in you. Now, the reason why you see Christians who pray as much as Jesus prayed, you would see Jesus did not live a life where he was praying every hour of the day. He prayed usually the hours of the night. Yet you see Christians who pray both day and night, and they live a broke, powerless, wretched life. It's simply, in fact, the only thing they can fight is demons. They are driven by poverty, driven by government policy, Imagine seeing a Christian just struggling to put his life together, trying to arrange a shop that is just used to feed his family, and government comes and pulls it down. Lack of power, lack of governmental power, lack of financial power, lack of mental power, lack of almost every form of power except spiritual power. That's the binding and casting type, the demon deliverance type. It's quite unfortunate. And usually, and this is because the mind of Christians is not developed. It's hardly ever developed. The power is abundance in their spirit, but the mind that translates power into solutions, into value, which now attracts the reward is completely left unattended to. Completely left unattended to. If the church in Africa, if you as a Christian would rise and step into position of power, financial power, intellectual power, mental power, political power, you need an introduction of both the power and the wisdom dimension, understanding principles, not just miracles. The typical Christian believes that it takes one day for God to change their life around. And yes, it does take one day. Usually, what we see as wealth stories is usually a story of preparation meets opportunity. But no, the Christian believer believes in opportunity meets opportunity. In fact, it's more like luck, that something will just happen and they'll just suddenly see $1,000 alert in their bank account. Let me shock you. If you see $1,000 alert in your bank account, you will be okay for a period, you go back again. But you don't know the law of multiplying and managing resources. You will spend all of that money, and when you are done spending the money, you'll be left with nothing. In your mind, you'll be like, no, it's a lie. I'm going to start business. You know nothing about product innovation. You know nothing about sales. You know nothing about marketing. You know nothing about client acquisition. You know nothing about customer relation. You know nothing about public relation. Nothing about PR. Nothing about advertising. If you start a business, the business will crash at your head. In fact, it's the business that will take out most part of the money, because you keep losing money and losing money until you crash. And it's not even cost. It sounds unfair, but it is the hard truth of life. You know nothing about running a business. So even if the money lands, you will spend it. If you try to do the business will crash. So how then do you begin to build wealth as a person? Number one, start with the mindset shift. This is going to be a difficult process. For me, it was a very tough process. I had so come to believe and trust that something will just happen and my entire finances will just turn around. And I was okay with just living my day-to-day life, just doing my normal. You are usually mostly where I am describing. Just doing your normal daily life. You're a student, you're just going to school, reading your book, writing your exam, just believing that your future is bright. Or if you are done with school, you're probably working, earning your salary, planning your life forward. It's not so serious. You're not thinking towards anything else. You're not. If you're ever thinking towards wealth, you're just thinking something just happened. Your life is just turn around. Money will just be everywhere. You're a thief for that. I'm being honest with you. Because the Bible teaching does not support what you are. So there has to be a mindset shift from miracle, something, sudden change, sudden transformation, into steady development, growth. Wealth is growing. Bible does not align with that mindset that most Christians have of sudden change. Proverbs 13:11 says, I have it on my system. Wealth, I love this scripture very much. Just pay attention to this. It is very good. You love it. Wealth gained hastily will dwindle. Wealth gained hastily will dwindle. But whoever gathers little by little will increase it. You hear that? Does that sound like the sudden alert that will change your life around? It's the Bible I'm reading. This is Proverbs. It's not. I'm not hiding the verse from you. Go and read that Bible verse. I'm not going to like to say context, and I am somebody who strongly believes in context, textual study, contextual study, reading in post-text, pre-text to get the summary of the text. I believe in that. So there's nothing here. I love the scriptures. I love the scriptures. Proverbs 13:11. You can open your Bible and read it. Read the post-text. Read the pre-text. That is the text before. Read the text after. Read the entire chapter so that you fully understand what this verse is saying. He says, wealth gained hastily will dwindle. Except there's any other definition you want to give the word dwindle. Dwindle means it will dwindle. Like it will dwindle. It will dwindle. It dwindles. Like, I don't know how to explain dwindle to you. Like, it just leaks in it. It just leaks in it. Wealth gained hastily. And that's what I just explained to you. $1 million enters your account today. Forget it. Before the end of the year is gone. Even if you want to start a business. Because a typical African, a typical Nigerian, a typical Christian does not know jack about running a business. You know nothing about advertising. You know nothing about attracting a customer. You know nothing about product innovation. How to develop a product. How to launch a product. How to market a product. You know nothing about it. You want to run a business. You know nothing about PR. You know nothing about packaging. How do you want to try in a business? How? If you suddenly see $10 million in your account, forget it. Yeah, you will be comfortable for a while, but you go back to being broke again very soon. Very soon. Now they tell you go back to being broke again. And the reason is simple. It's consistent with scriptures. Wealth gained hastily will dwindle. It will dwindle. But rather than that, little by little. It takes time. And this is the process of gathering wealth. It begins with gathering first the right mindset. Understanding the mindset. I would address some of those mindsets in the consecutive laws that we're looking at. There are 4 pillars of wealth that I'll be showing you. The first is the pillar of mindset. You have to shift from that wealth to blow, right? Africans, we Nigerians, we have this blow mentality. You just blow. Something will just happen. Money will just be everywhere in your account. Or that. It's not like that. It's never like that. And this is why we often fall for investment frauds, investment shams, investment scams. which definitely will thrive in Africa. Different Ponzi scheme, different investment platform. I remember, and see, I'm not saying this like one saint. Like it was after understanding these things that I started understanding. I must be one binomo investment like that. I was binomoed. I was binomoed. My money, oh Lord, it went. That's why Nigeria, most of the persons that are getting binomoed, getting MMM'd, Christians. Why? They have this mindset of gather money hastily. Well gained hastily, we're going to MMM duty. It is dwindling. What MMM eventually results in is dwindling. It dwindles. I must add Leila Amozi. She said that I've had several persons say this, but one person that I remember her name with this particular phrase is Leila. She said that the most powerful persons in the room are people who don't think in terms of months. They think in terms of decades. They think big. And I mean, not just big in terms of vision, but in long time span. So these persons can be committed and diligent to doing something every single day. And that thing continues to propound until they gain mastery at that level. Then that level of mastery begins to attract reward. That is one of the secrets to wealth creation. It takes time, patience, doing the boring stuff over a long period of time. But now, the African church, the African Christian, the typical Christian, the reason, blue, they can just blow. You won't blow. No wonder your money has been blown by MMM. Sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I told you. Even myself, I was being monkey. But yes, it's that the first shift in mindset that must happen to you. Then how then do you grow? First, develop the right mindset. Begin to understand things like the law of leverage. In my previous video, I already spoke about the law of leverage, so you just go back and watch it. I will not talk about it again. That's why you have to be subscribed to this channel, because I usually talk about wealth creation, money, sales, communication, things that revolve around financial freedom. That's what I talk about on this channel. You cannot be subscribed to this channel. You have to be subscribed. So, what I'm saying, leverage. Understand how leverage works in real life. Understand the law of value. Understand the law of diligence. Several laws, several principles. You must understand them. Mindset. Develop your mindset first. It takes time to develop your mindset. Then after mindset, you have skill set. Skill set. It is now your skill set that now goes into producing value, producing solutions that people can reward you for. Skill set. I told you I was once in the mood, but why am I still doing okay for myself? Because I have grown skill set that even when I lost an investment, I have a skill set that can still generate money back for me every single month. Not every single month, sometimes every week. Depends on the deal I am working. So I have a skill set. You don't have any single skill set. You have no tech skill. You have no income skill, no ticket skill. Nothing on communications, nothing on sales, zero on advertisements and marketing. You know nothing. All you know is Bible. And that is why I love the Bible. Proverbs 22:19 says, "Seest thou a man skillful." Skillful. I particularly love the version that says skillful at his work. He will stand before kings. Skillful. Skillful. Develop skills. That's the second thing you have to develop after the mindset. That is the progression to wealth. First, mindset. Then skill set. Then number 3 is assets. Assets. Build assets. That is the phase I am currently on. Build assets. I am currently building assets. Building several assets. And when I'm talking about assets, I'm not just talking about real estate. Because it takes capital to acquire real estate that actually will be profitable. But you're just starting. This is one of the reasons why people get scammed. They go to start from the end, not from the beginning. It's like you want to be great at math, you go to start at algebra before understanding addition and subtraction. As now, you want to start with calculus, you don't know addition and subtraction, you don't know fraction. How now? Then you're surprised when you're getting okolo. Oh no, 0. You're surprised. People in life, they try to do calculus without first understanding addition and subtraction. You don't have the mindset of wealth. You don't have any high income skill set. You go and jump to assets. In fact, no one said you leave assets and go to investment. Because asset and investment is not the same thing. According to my definition. Asset basically, yes, you can invest. I believe that investment is basically capital based. But most assets might require capital, but they're not capital based. A business is an asset. Yes, it requires capital at a certain point, but it's more of input based. You have a team working, producing income. It delivers value. But when it comes to investment, it is more about believing in an idea and putting money in it. So all people want to do is get into investment. They want to put their money somewhere and get huge returns. Wealth gathered hastily will dwindle. That's my favorite scripture for this particular video. The answers to your money problem is in scriptures. It's in scriptures. You just need to learn to look well. Look well. You don't start from the back. You start first from mindset. Then you build skill sets. Then you begin to build assets. A book can be an asset, especially if you are doing something like me, you're into consultancy, you're into education. A book is an asset. A course is an asset. A business is an asset. A real estate property is an asset. And finally, you now have investments in stocks, in bonds, right? In the crypto market, in the commodity market. Those are investments. But first, start with mindset and then skill set. If you ever try to start with investment without first getting the mindset, skill set, you always get burned. You will always get burned. And that's why you see people constantly losing their money. Constantly losing their money. Some of them have skill sets without mindset of wealth creation. Discern that this particular investment platform is a sham, it's a scam. It will always end in tears. Premium tears. Somebody's gonna cry. Somebody's gonna cry on this thing. Thankfully, I have had friends who would, because I've always been talking about money since forever. So they reach out to me, Marv, this is investment platform I want to do. Do you want to do too? When I go through it, I will tell you, that you are going to cry. You are going to cry. You're gonna cry. Some of them listen, some don't. Eventually, the ones that listen end up saying, the ones that don't end up crying. Most investments, especially the ones that are usually advertised online, they are a get rich quick scheme for the person who is propagating the investment. Mindset shift. Understand that wealth is built first from mindset, skill set, asset, then investment. Like this video and drop a comment if you gain value. This helps the algorithm know that this content needs to reach as many persons as possible. So help me reach more persons who need to see this video. Like, drop a comment. Anything that stands out to you, drop a comment. Thank you so much. I'm back to the video. The second principle is the principle of association. Today I listened to the video that Additional did with Pastor Apostle Femi Lazarus. And my God, it was an episode of Declassified. My God, the things that were shared in that, it confirmed so many things that I knew and I was already talking about. Some that I was not sure of. It was an episode of value. You need to watch that video. Declassified. Declassified by Apostle Femi Lazarus with Additional. My God. Sometimes it can be as simple as the kind of status that you view on WhatsApp. That the kind of status that you view on WhatsApp is just memes, just jokes, funny skits. I don't know the same things that you post to. The same things that you post to all the people around you. Is either memes, funny gists, or real life talk. When I mean real life talk of how they are suffering, tales of suffering and wretchedness. Those are things that you see every day and listen to. These are the kind of status that you view. Meanwhile, someone like me, I have several Like, I have a lot of contacts on WhatsApp. So you can get buried in my status. My status tab on WhatsApp. I have a lot of contacts. I didn't check about 5,000 status. And these are people I know that they are either constantly saying something that is teaching me something, or they are hosting programs that is making me want to host mine. That gingers me, these people are doing great things. I want to do. You want to fly at an altitude of eagles. You are going around with chickens. Then you are wondering why you are eating scraps from the ground. You associate and hang out with, behave like, and move with chickens. Then you are surprised that you are not flying at the height of eagles. No. Proverbs 13:20. He that walks with the wise will be wise. The companion of fools will be destroyed. What you are doing, you are keeping the companions of fools. Companions of fools. That the person's status you are constantly checking, the videos you are watching on Instagram, on TikTok, are just skits, funny skits, comedy, or movies, Nollywood, from Nollywood to Bollywood, from Bollywood to Hollywood. Nothing that feeds your mind, that educates your mind. You don't watch podcasts. You don't read books. You have set up your life for poverty and wretchedness. One of the first proofs of a life moving in the direction of poverty and wretchedness is exalting entertainment over education. That you spend time entertaining your mind over educating your mind. You are going to live in a life of poverty for a long time. People who migrate or who navigate towards the direction of wealth, they spend more time on education than entertainment. I remember it was 2022 when I decided, Marv, you are not going to scroll tab on Facebook anymore. You are not going to scroll tab anymore. Because I noticed who was on my tab, on my For You page, was mostly skills. Comment, I was like, my God, how am I going to grow with all of these things now? I was not going to watch again. And that was at the level of knowledge. Currently at this level of knowledge, I watch my Reels tab. I watch my Reels tab on Facebook. But with a twist. I have programmed my Reels tab. I'm recording on my phone. If not, I would have shown you my Reels tab on TikTok or Instagram. The first you see is the Olishola's podcast. The Olishola's reel. From there you see Additional. You see Leila Amozi. You see Alex. You see Dan Mattel. You see Myron Golden. You see Apostle Femi Lazarus. You see Pastor Aaron. Apostle Aaron. These are the kind of reels that you see. You can never come across Pella. I'm not saying Pella is a bad person. I did not say anybody is a bad person. But that is not what I am trying to feed my mind. The end result of Pella's content is laughter. The end result of the Olishola's content is mindset shift. I would prioritize mindset shift. And that will take me to the law number 3, the law of attention. What you give attention to controls the direction of your life. What you give attention to controls the direction of your life. That you spend time to feast on Pella, then you are surprised that the end product of your life is laughable. You spend time to feast on comedy, then you are surprised that the end product of your life is laughable. All you ever watch is Pella. From Pella, you go to the next skit, next funny comedy, and you are surprised that there is nothing serious about your life. You spend your entire life laughing. So how come you want anything to be serious about your life? Your Reels tab, what your Reels tab on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube looks like is a direct mirror of what your life looks like. That everything on your timeline is comedy, skits. Those skits are usually about suffering or about indecency, about promiscuity, immorality. Then you are surprised. You are struggling with lust. You are surprised that you are struggling with poverty. I wish people knew. Whatever you give attention to determines the direction of your life. Your timeline is a mirror of your lifetime. It's a direct mirror of your lifetime. What you spend your time doing, you are discussing with this one, who is dating this one, which celebrities now as a baby. Which celebrities, the people who thrive, they educate themselves into power. The rest, they entertain themselves into poverty and mediocrity. From today, if your attention is tuned towards memes, skits, comedy, that's what you take time feasting on. That's where your discussion is filled with, and your discussion is filled with gists, trends, and gossips. Don't ever be surprised that you don't go find life. Don't ever be surprised that you don't go find life in life. Don't ever be surprised that you don't go find life. Don't ever be surprised that you don't go find life. There is no one winner who surrounds himself with memes, skits, and spends time discussing gossips. and trends. Not one. And you cannot be the exception. You can't be the exception. Because for this principle, there are no exceptions. Whatever you give attention to, it can be the direction of your life. And the final law is the law of value. I've spoken about this briefly in the body of the content, but you see, the law of value, that is what determines the reward that you give. After working with the right association, ensuring that your attention is on the right things, building the right mindset, you must develop your ability to provide and procure solutions for people. That is what gets you rewarded. That is why you must develop skills that solve real problems, business problem, career problem, professional problem, marital problem, life problem. Certain persons have to engineer and bring about a scientific innovation that makes life simple, that makes life easier for the elderly. Certain persons have to do that. Certain persons have to think about solutions that will make business growth simpler for entrepreneurs. That is how you get rewarded. How to use social media to attract more customers. How to use graphic to attract more attention. These are solutions. And that is what attracts reward. Whenever you stop thinking and expecting a miracle to turn your life around and start thinking and working on these 4 laws, there is no way. Give yourself, like I said, it takes time. Give yourself 2 years working in all of these principles. Tune your mind towards the right thing, understanding, getting the right mindset, learning the right skills, and focusing on investments. And after that, focus on associating with the right people. Work with people who will engineer you to do more, to be more, to put more effort. See, most times, what people think is a lack of drive or laziness is an association problem. You are surrounded with mediocrity. Mediocres. People who are comfortable with where they are. They are not currently doing anything to improve their lives. They are just comfortable with where they are. The reason why you don't get ahead in life is usually not a lack of drive. It is usually not a lack of passion. It is not even just because you are lazy. Yes, laziness might be a primary factor, but it's not because you are lazy. It is an association problem. You are surrounded by mediocrity. People who are comfortable with being where they are. They are comfortable being where they are. There is no plan to be anything more. Yes, not like they don't have the desire and the intention. They have the desire and intention, but there is no plan and there is no action to back up that intention. No plan, no intention. No plan, just intention. These are the ones you see feasting on names. You see them blazing around. In fact, these are the ones talking about gossips, the trends, the celebrity who's doing this, celebrity who just gave birth, the one who is about to get married, the one who is fighting who. These are the people who you see their attention scattered like the wind. Scattered to the wind, to wherever social media directed. When you hang out with these persons, don't be surprised that you're unable to focus on the things that matter. These persons will naturally distract you. Their life will naturally be a distraction to you. They will want you to come and gist at the time when you need to be improving your skills, learning, watching a podcast. And whenever they see that it's like you're trying to be serious, they will laugh at you and mock you. So you usually lose ability to focus. In fact, just looking at them, you just begin to feel, it's like I'm taking this life too serious. Oh God, relocate. Cut off from them. Today, cut off from them. For the sake of your destiny, cut off from them. Find people who that, when you see their status, you're like, my God, see what this person is doing, see where I am with my life. When am I going to get to this point? And find people who are around your age group. So that you don't be like, it's not like you're connected with somebody that you're just believing in your heart that in the future I'll be like this person. No. Find people who are around your age group who are already doing powerful things that you aspire to do. Go and connect with them. These are people you have to pursue. See this mindset of pride, poor people and pride back. 5 and 6. I can't pursue anybody. I am who I am. I know who I am. Okay? You and Sapa, you have a long way to go. You will be a friend and stick closer to your brother than a brother. I'm telling you. Association. You cannot be an eagle and be walking around with chickens and expect to fly in an high altitude. You stand on the ground. You stand on the ground with the rest of the chickens. And you eat scraps. You struggle. You struggle for food on the ground. But at the top, he who picks his skill, picks it up, enjoys his life, and moves on. But on the ground, you struggle. You run up and down. You will struggle. You are currently struggling. You are working with chickens. You are working with chickens. Association. If you set your association right, focus on the right thing, set your attention right, fine-tune your attention, focus on the right thing. Focus on the right thing, not on wig, not on the appearance of wealth, but on the lifestyle of wealth. Skill, creating value, creating solution, skill development, discipline. Give yourself 2 to 5 years. You will notice that your finance is far ahead of anybody around you. Now, if you work with all of these areas, from the mindset to the association to directing your attention, and then finally to working, creating value, creating solution, there is no way your life will turn around. This is the place to be. This is the place to be. And I am certain that you would break forth and begin to walk in a life of dominion, in a life of financial prosperity, and in a life of integrity, success, and impact. And that is how you step into the full capacity of who you were created to be in the right place. My name is Marv, and I hope this particular episode was beneficial to you. Please leave me a comment with your thoughts, your questions, leave them in the comments, and I will get to them as much as I can, or create an episode to answer any of your questions consecutively. Thank you so much for listening. See you in the next episode.